dari Komplek Balai Budaya Minomartani Ngaglik Sleman. Inilah Radio BBM, jaringan radio komunitas Yogyakarta.
Radio Komunitas Balai Budaya Minomartani. Radio Budaya, Radio Warga, Radio Kita Bersama.
Selamat sore warga budaya. I hope you're all well and comfortable. I'm your host for the program Global Chain, where we come together as always every Wednesday to talk about my experiences with some of my cultures and communities outside of Indonesia. Today, we are talking about a Danish festival called Roskilde Festival, which is a massive organization. The first festival was hosted in 1971. Just have a moment to think about that. That's a very long time ago. That's 50 years ago. And it's the largest music and arts festival in Northern Europe. Every year, approximately 130,000 participants participate in the festival. And to organize it, approximately 30,000 volunteers work for the festival. The festival area itself covers 2.5 million square meters. 2.5 million square meters. And for a small country like Denmark, this is a very big area. And each year, approximately 50,000 tents are set up for this festival. I covered this topic together with Emma and Simone, who are two of my very close friends from Denmark, who I have known for more than 10 years. Yeah, definitely more than 10 years. And for more than 10 years, we have been in a super tight friend group together with 5 other friends. Why is Roskilde Festival interesting? Well, because Roskilde Festival, just like other festivals, other places in the world, reveals something about the culture. And today we dive into how Roskilde Festival makes sense in the Danish society. So we sort of try to look at how Roskilde Festival aligns with Danish culture and how it might oppose Danish culture. So I'm very excited about this program. Please welcome two of my very good friends, Emma and Simone. Welcome them to BBM FM. Girls, thank you so much for joining BBM Radio. I'm super happy to have you here in the program.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. To our listeners, I just quickly want to point out that we're obviously always speaking in Danish together. So having to do it in English is always
It's always a bit of an awkward start, but we'll manage, we'll get there. And I hope that eventually it will feel supernatural.
Yes, of course.
But girls, why don't you start off by explaining to us, in your own words, what Roskilde Festival is?
Yeah. Do you want to start, Simone?
Yeah, I can start.
Okay.
So I feel like, Roskilde is a festival and it's held in a town, city, whatever you call it, in Denmark called Roskilde. And for me, it's not only a festival, it's also a community. So it's like the matter of like getting together with people in a way that you can't on daily basis. Sleeping in tents, waking up next to your best friends and new friends. And it's just like an open-hearted place where you're allowed to be the best version of yourself, and get a lot of great memories.
Yeah, what a beautiful explanation. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Emma, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, because I feel the same way as Simone do. And I also feel like it's Roskilde Festival because I've been to other festivals as well. But I feel like Roskilde Festival is kind of a feeling, because it's like an old festival and there's a special vibe to Roskilde Festival.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about freedom. And I feel like when I enter Roskilde, I enter with a different kind of mindset. I don't know. I feel more free, and I always have so much fun. And I just feel like everyone's, if I meet someone at Roskilde, it's always with people who are more open and friendly, and and I like that because the Danish culture is usually not like that. So it's kind of freeing actually experiencing that. Yeah.
That was just what I was thinking as well when you said that. I thought maybe the reason why we need such a, like almost like a getaway is because we in our daily lives are quite, I don't want to say reserved, we're just very busy with the people we've known for a very long time. And then we don't actually meet a lot of new people. That's at least the impression I have.
Yeah. I also feel like it's a matter of Roskilde Festival market themselves with the quote orange feeling. So if you know their logo and the stage, it's orange. So it's like a feeling of standing out and trying to be a version of yourself that you're maybe not really that you don't feel safe about being every day. For me, especially, I'm an extrovert. And then when I go to Roskilde, I'm 100% extrovert. And then I'm like, okay, my favorite color is peach. I'm going to wear that all week. I have this cool hat that I'm going to use. And here in Denmark, we have this kind of law, which is an unwritten, it's a written law, but it's not like, how do you explain it, Melike? Janteloven?
Yeah, it's like, it is an unwritten law that sort of determines a bit our behavior, I would say, in a way. Yeah.
It's like, don't think you're anything. And it's just like, it shuts you down. And that for me is like how I see Denmark in normal days. Like, people don't speak that loud, and people don't want to be seen by everyone. But at Roskilde, you want to be the center of attention, for me especially.
Yeah, it seems that it's more okay then.
Yeah.
And just for people who don't know about Roskilde, can you also just explain a little bit about sort of time and duration and a bit of practicalities, and maybe also how you would go about preparing for the festival?
Yes. Well, the festival is, I think the duration is a week. And the way it's set up is that you have some warm-up days and then you have some music days. So usually it's I think it's 3 or 4 warm-up days. They do play music in the warm-up days, but it's like smaller bands. And then from midweek, they have all the big artists coming. So there is like a festival side, and there's a camping side. And the festival side is closed off until the music days begin. So I would say in the first couple of days, it's more about setting up your camping gear, your tents, creating like these little camps with your friends, having fun, having a little
having a little drink.
A little drink or maybe 2, playing games and just having fun. And then you can go listen to some music if you want to. But then when the music days begin and the festival day, side open, then it's more about going to concerts. And sometimes it's like 8 hours where you don't sit down, when you just go from one concert to the other. So it's kind of like divided in 2. Yeah. And in terms of preparation, there's a lot of Roskilde have made an app that makes it easy for you to like prepare, and you can actually also order tents in advance if you want to. We did that actually, me and Simone, this year, so that we booked a tent that was set up so we could just bring all our stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Has that always been there? Because I've never heard about this before. I've always heard these stories of these like massive setups.
I think
have you always been able to? Yeah,
I'm not sure. Maybe some places, but I think it's becoming a bigger thing, because they've placed them in a better. Yeah, they're placed better.
Yeah. Location-wise, so you pay for the convenience of not having to set it up, and the spot is a good spot.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what we did this year. And we actually had a lot of fun with it regarding the name of our camp, because we called ourselves Camp Retirement. I feel like, so Emma is 26 and I'm 27.
So very young still, just our listeners.
Yeah, and we started going when we were like 16, 17. And then now it's just like, no, we can afford it. We're just gonna come there. The tent is there. Sit down, have a beer, and then just chill. Yeah, so that's really nice.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
It used to be like the culture around Roskilde Festival was actually how do you say vælte?
What is that called? Like to
tear down the fence, because there was a fence into a Roskilde Festival that you needed to wait to get your what is it called, like your wristband, and then you could get in. But before, like years ago, people used to just tear down the fence and just run in and to get the best possible place. But unfortunately, a lot of people ended up getting really hurt because some people were crazy. And I think it's still a little bit like that, but not in the same way at all. So you can get your wristband in advance, and so you don't have to go through all that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that tells a lot about the festival, because when you think about it, when you have the wristband, you can go to the festival area whenever you want and listen to music. But people turn into animals to get the best camping area as possible. Just in order to have like a party week. And for me, that's kind of hilarious, because that tells a lot about it, I think.
But what does it mean to have a good spot? So you're saying, well, some people would tear down the fence or get a bit sort of brutal, so to say, to get a good spot. What does a good spot mean?
That's actually a great question.
I think it's sorry Simone.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I think it's actually about like, because the campsite is massive, like it's so big, so people usually are very like, we have that spot every year, we want the same exact spot, this is our spot. Like they feel kind of like
Like an ownership almost.
Ownership, yeah. And we cannot do that. So they're like, we need that spot because that's a good spot. And sometimes it's like placement in terms of how close are we to the festival side, how close are we to the food courts, how close are we like to showers, toilets, all that. So I think location wise, some people prefer like being as close as they can to the festival side, and people have their preferences.
And then when you were like 17, you wanted full power 24 hour. and then
now you're retired.
You wanted to be in the exact party spot where when you think about the way that Emma and I visited Roskilde like a month ago, I believe that 17 years old would find it really boring because we would sleep at night. The music would be off. And that's something that I'm really much into right now. But at that point, it was the best feeling of like laying there in tent in the middle of the night and just hearing and just...
I can really imagine, and that's actually something that I've been very curious to hear from you. So you say you've been there since you were 16, 17. I obviously have never been. So it's also crazy to think back that you started going 10 years ago. Like, that's also quite crazy to realize that we've grown so old, so to say, that you've been to the festival for 10 years. But I'm curious to hear how the festival has changed for you in these 17 years or that in the 10 years. You already talked a bit about it, choosing a different campsite, but maybe just share a bit more on that, how the meaning of the festival or the experiences have changed over time.
Yeah. Shall I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think it has changed a lot in terms of like what you want to get out of the festival. So when I was 16, my first year I was actually 15, which is way too young. I think I didn't enjoy it actually in the same way, but I wanted to go there to get some crazy experiences. Yeah. Or crazy, maybe not crazy, but nice experiences. And now it's more about having fun with the people I'm with. So I feel like before, like years ago, it was all about finding like the good party and like meeting new people all the time. It was more like searching for something that could give me some kind of rush. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Or excitement. And now it's more chill and more about like having fun with my friends, going to concerts and crazy things. And you will always meet a lot of, crazy people and go to fun parties and stuff like that at Roskilde, but it's not the most important thing anymore. So it has changed for me in that way. Like I didn't care that much about the concert when I was 16, and now I care more. Like I don't want to miss a concert for a party in a camp. Like I would,
No, that makes sense. And I think that also goes beyond Roskilde. Like I resonate with that myself for so many activities that I join now, that I'm less searching for the environment and more just like looking inwards at the group you're with. And you mentioned the artists. And I think that's something that's super important to mention, that you have obviously huge names coming to Roskilde, which is, again, just keeping in mind for our listeners that are not Danish, we are 5 million people in Denmark. We're a very small country. So for big names to come at a festival that is hosted, not even in Copenhagen, but like quite outside of Copenhagen in a small town, relatively small town, is quite a big deal.
Yeah, well, it is because... Yeah, we are a small country, but the thing is, when the orange stage is actually so big. I think it's almost, I don't know, the same size or bigger than Glastonbury. It can there's room for more than 100,000 people. I remember Eminem was playing in 2018, and I think we were like, how much do you remember, Simone? It was like
120,000 people or something like that, or even 150. I don't remember, but it was insane.
Was crazy. I think what's cool about Roskilde is that we're such a small country. We're used to always like being like like feeling like we don't, I don't know, matter that much, even though we do, but it's like we feel small. And when you're at Roskilde Festival and you see the artists and they're like, oh my God, this is huge. And it's like, it feels like we're not that small when
I can imagine.
Festival. Yeah. So it's kind of,
And what are some of the biggest artists that you have experienced there that you've enjoyed the most? Or it doesn't need to be a big artist to everyone, but maybe to you it was a very special experience.
For me, it's actually really interesting because I believe that you'll know her in Indonesia, but Robin, the Swedish singer,
I at least know her. I'm saying, but
that was like a huge experience, and I think it's because on Roskilde we had this year there was Burna Boy, Kendrick Lamar, Lil Nas X, Florence and the Machine have visited, a lot of more people, artists. Sorry, artists. I think it's a matter of like when you have like a huge star, international star, and they live just across the border, it gets more sentimental. The same with like Danes that become international. I get this feeling of, I don't know, chills when they're on stage and they can have like 100,000 people coming there as if it was a bigger artist. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what gets me the most chills. It's like I get some sort of ownership. I'm like, you're Swedish, I'm Danish. I know you better than others.
Nice. That's actually quite an interesting view. And for you, Emma, what is like the artist that you either remember the most for one reason or another?
I feel like I've seen so many. I've been so lucky that I've seen so many, but I think Nicki Minaj. I really loved Nicki Minaj. She was so good and so like great. And I've seen also Dua Lipa twice at Roskilde. She's always like amazing. Post Malone I've seen, and I think I really loved the Nicki Minaj concert. I think I remember it so well because it was so amazing.
Cool.
But
very cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. And besides the artist, because what you also said before, so obviously you have the artist part, the performances, the music, but you also have just the culture around. And Simone, you said something earlier that I just want to ask into, which is, you said the name of our tent this year was so that the retired group. So what is it with the names of tents? And can you explain also other things that are like cultural elements specific to Roskilde?
It's like in the camping areas, you're together with a group of people, and those are the people that you're staying with, and you have tents close to each other so that you don't sleep in different places. And then I believe you grow like some sort of small community within the group, and then you name it. And for us, it's just because we grew older together at Roskilde. And now we're not the same people as we were first time we went. Now it's like, if you combine 4 camps from, 2013 now, and it's like the rest of those who still wants to go. So it's like the elder, I believe that Emma's friend Sarah was the youngest. She's 24. And then the oldest one in the camp is 39, sorry. So it's like the matter of also when you, let me know if I get on a sidetrack, when you grow older, you sort of get younger. So like I feel like I have the same age as the 39 year old. Yeah, I don't know if it makes sense even.
You have that also with people that are 10 years younger, or is it specifically for people that are older?
I think it's a matter of like when you get in your 20s and like in the end of your 20s, you start getting values that are the same as elders.
Like that. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I just bought this apartment. I just got this job. The topics are very different from, watch me drink this beer really fast.
No, definitely. And it's also a bit of a side note, but obviously during my internship here, I'm spending a lot of time with students that are not much older than 20. And in my mind, I'm also not much older than 20. But then when I talk to someone who's 20, then I feel like I should belong to the retirement group because I feel very much older. I think I resonate with that. I'm curious, in terms of these 10 years you've been to Roskilde, I'm just curious to hear like one of the memories or a couple of memories that really stick with you as something that is unique to Roskilde.
Yeah, that's a good question. I have a memory.
Yeah, go for it.
So when I graduated college or high school, I think. Yeah. Gymnasium. Yeah.
Yes.
What a high school. Sorry, high school. When I graduated high school, and we have that thing of student level. Yeah. I don't know.
So quick one to our listeners: when we graduate high school or college, we always get confused because we have a different system. We're about 19, 18 years when we graduate. We get a hat and then we go with our whole class together on an open truck to visit every single family. That is what Emma's referring to.
Exactly. That was what I was trying to say.
Yes.
Okay, so I graduated, and the day after graduation, and I just felt like so empty inside. So I was like, okay, I need to go to Roskilde Festival, and that was not my original plan. So, and it can be difficult to get tickets, like because they're sold out right, up to the festival. But I was really lucky, and I got a ticket. And that summer was great because usually the weather in Denmark, it varies a lot, so it's not necessarily sunny. Sometimes it's raining during Roskilde, and that's a different experience. But this year, it was like, I think it was a heat wave, and the weather was amazing. And I just finished school, and I felt so free, and I got like ticket in the last minute. And I was actually the year I saw Nicki Minaj as well, and everything was just,
look at this.
Yeah, it was just like the memory of just feeling extremely free, and like everything was just great. The weather was great, like everything just came together. Clicked. I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like it's rare that everything is just like going the way you want to. Especially on the Roskilde Festival. But it was just a great year and a good experience. And I look back on that year as being really good because it was not really a plan, but it happened anyway. And I saw like the best concerts, and so.
Yeah. I can also just imagine the aftermath of graduating. And then it's always so, like, at least to me, it's always so ambivalent. Like, I'm always, after an exam or a big moment, you want to celebrate and you feel free, but you also feel so, like, in a post-stress moment of, like, is it over now, and what then? And so I can really imagine that just going somewhere with thousands of other people that are just in the mood for having a good time is really just exactly what suited after that period.
Yeah, exactly. Because last year, after graduating university and after like writing my master's thesis, I was like so tired. So I had like only a 1-day ticket or something because I was just like, I cannot do the whole week.
Not even having the energy for it.
I didn't have the energy. I was like, so exactly.
Okay, that's a good memory. And you, Simone?
I just had a minute to think about it, and I believe for me, like a memory of Roskilde was the very first year I went. So those of you who doesn't know, Melike, Emma, and I are in the same friend group, the same group of friends, and we went. Melike was not there, But we went together, and I just remember like sleeping in the tent, waking up in the morning, and I just woke up for 7 days together with my best friends. It was just like the feeling of getting out of the tent and just being together with your best friends all the time. And then those of you who doesn't know me, I really enjoy unhealthy living. Like in my daily life, I try to stay away of it. So like drinking alcohol, eating burgers, eating fries, just having that 1 week a year where I can allow myself to live really like very, very, very unhealthy. It's just like... It's just like my batteries are getting loaded for all the sports I have to do when I get home and the year over. So I believe for me, that's just like, it's like the best part. It's just like being able to live unhealthy without people looking at you and be like, what the hell is that you're eating?
You cannot be judged at Roskilde Festival.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. No, that totally makes sense. And what you said, Emma, about Simone, about waking up together with your best friends. Obviously, so I haven't been to Roskilde Festival, but we've been to like these summer house trips. You've come to the Netherlands, visited me, where we all stay together, and it is just like being positively trapped in a chick flick movie where you are indeed just with your best friends the entire time, and the conversation just never stops. And there is just like always someone to pick like a good talk with, and just this somehow like very caring, girly energy around you, which I find very supportive.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Love it. I love it because it's different from 10 or 6 years ago, even, because we are all busy. Or like we're more busy with life. So now I feel like I appreciate our friendship in a different way. And like, for example, we might not see each other that often, but when we come together, like we did last year for a weekend, I just felt like, oh my God, I feel so happy. I feel so I feel like I don't need anything right now. It's perfect because my friends all like gathered, and I just remember just feeling like I wish this could last longer.
Yeah. And you feel super energized.
Yeah. It's just, so nice.
We need to do that again soon. I think that's the conclusion. We started off talking about festivals, and the conclusion is we need to organize another girls' trip.
We do. We really do.
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious. So we already talked a bit about it, about how Roskilde might reflect Danish culture by actually being very different from everyday Danish culture. But I'm curious to hear a bit more on that. How do you think that Roskilde either, as we talked about before, is in opposition to Danish culture or is in alignment with Danish culture? Also for obviously our international listeners or our Indonesian listeners who how do you say it, who perceive a festival in a different way. What is there to understand about Roskilde Festival and Danish culture?
Like similarities?
Yeah, similarities, or like before opposition, just any sorts of things where you think, well, Roskilde Festival is so free because maybe we feel less free or able to express ourselves in a certain way, or that you think maybe it does fit quite well in other ways.
Well, in terms of like the opposition, I feel like the Danish culture is good in some ways, but there's a lot of things I don't like about it. And I think that's a common thing, but we don't know how to change it because that's kind of how the culture is. But we usually keep a bit to ourselves in our little friend groups. Yeah. And when I travel abroad, and I've actually studied in Malaysia and I lived in London, people, they just come up to you and speak to you. And it's much easier to be like open-minded. And sometimes I want to be like that here in Denmark, but it's really difficult for me just to go up to someone I don't know and talk to them because the culture, they would find it a bit weird because it's not like normal. So usually we find different ways to do it, and I think that's also why I think that's why drinking culture is the thing in Denmark, because people, they feel more like it's easier for them to like talk to other people when they do that, because they relax more. And that's, I think, is also a part of Roskilde Festival, because then people are more free. They're not like in their usual environment, so we all like just meet each other at this, I don't know how to explain it, ground zero. Like, we're all just the same. You cannot tell where you're from, you cannot tell what your job is, you cannot tell anything about each other. You just you just come together. And so I feel like people, they put down their guards, and they are less judgy, so it's easier to approach each other. And that's like,
that actually makes a lot of sense. That's a really good explanation. Definitely.
I think so
just
too.
Having like my own thoughts as you said it. You go ahead, Simone. Sorry.
No, it's just I very much agree with Emma. So I'm not gonna say anything opposite to that. But I can say something else that I reflected very much about this year. It's the matter of, if we think about similarities within like the Danish country, how do you say culture in Denmark? I think what's really interesting about Roskilde is that you have everything there. It's like reflecting to the Danish culture. It's really, I feel really privileged by going to a festival, and the only thing I can find that's negative is that there is not enough toilets for women. Yeah. And I feel like when I come home and I'm really like annoyed about the fact that I had to stand in a queue for 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, well, problem number one. I'm like, I feel like we're really privileged in the matter of that's the only thing we talk about afterwards, that like people are being really kind to one another. We take care of each other. I had an episode back in 2014 where I got dehydrated at a concert, and immediately people just carried me out, and they just gave me water right away. So that's something that I thought about a lot. I was like, okay, there are some serious good vibes here in Denmark. Like, we really do take care of each other, and I'm really starting to value that as I grow older. Also because I lived in New York as well for, like Emma lived outside of Denmark for 11 months. And it's like just social equality, or how do you say it? It's just that we can go to this festival and we are all the same, and that you can't see the difference, and that's also something that you can reflect into our society, is that if you want to, in Denmark, you can be whatever you want, when you want it. And you have like a lot of possibilities. You just don't have a toilet to use whenever you want it on Roskilde. Does it make sense somehow?
It does. And I think what I'm thinking of is also that obviously from your stories and other people's stories about Roskilde, I think it's also really a sense of community, and it's a sense of something being very simple. And I'm not saying that we have a very simple lifestyle. I do think we are a wealthy country, and we should be appreciative of that. But I do think that a lot of our core values are very simple, and they are very humble. And I maybe even link that to hygge, which very briefly explained as a humble way of having a good time. I think that's like the fastest way I can explain it. And nothing flashy or expensive can be hyggeligt, because it has to be humble. And I see maybe also Roskilde as a way of like, you have your friends, you have good music, you hope for good weather, and then what more do you want? That's it. And I do think that we are. I do think that the Danish culture, maybe because we are wealthy and don't need to worry so much. To be honest, it sounds a bit cocky. I really don't mean it like that. But maybe therefore we have the luxury to care for such soft things like community and vibes and friends and stuff like that. That's a bit what I'm thinking, because I can very much imagine, just throwing in something here, I can very much imagine in other cultures, including even in Turkish culture, where I also belong, where Roskilde is definitely not something you would want or aspire to. It's just not fancy enough or glorious enough. It's too dirty. It's too it just doesn't fit in that. Like, I don't imagine a lot of people from my family in Turkey who would look at pictures from Roskilde and be like, oh yeah, that's what I want to join.
I understand.
So in that sense, I think you need to, maybe
I never thought about it like that. I like the way that you see it, because that's really true. It's like the matter of like being humble and like going to we very much here in Denmark are like, I don't know how you say it in English at all, laveste fællesnævner. It's like places
the lowest common ground.
Like places should suit everyone. Like you look from, like Emma said, ground zero, and then you take it up. You don't start from 100 and go down to 0. You start from 0 and go up to 100 and be like, where can we get enough people? Like, who will join this? Like, can we add more? And I really enjoy that, because that for me is community. That for me is to make something where everyone can belong and will belong. And that's actually Danish culture for me.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything about Roskilde that I haven't asked? Obviously, it's always difficult to ask good questions about something that you haven't experienced yourself. So I'm really excited to hear if you have anything else that I haven't asked, or that our listeners inside, outside of Denmark should know.
Something that I thought about when you guys were talking is like the matter of, it's like a social thing in Denmark as well. But at Roskilde, let's say I went and my economy was low at that time, and then I would just let the rest know, like, guys, I'm going to buy beers sometimes, but I can't really afford to buy it all the time. Then people would be like, what goes around comes back around. And then we'll help each other out. And that's something that you were reflecting about, Emma, is like the in-between. Like, it's like helping each other out very much. Like being able to have the same experience as the others, even though you don't have the same amount of money. That's something that I really like about both Roskilde and the Danish culture, is that we have each other's backs. So that's just like an ending sentence from me.
That was a very beautiful ending sentence. Thank you very much.
I can't top that.
well, me neither. I'm also not going to top that, but I do very much want to thank you both for joining and taking a moment to share your experiences about Roskilde Festival.
Of course, it was really nice talking to you about it.
Yeah, it was very nice indeed. And also just good to see your faces. I haven't seen your faces since May, April. It's a while back now.
Yeah, it was in May, I believe. Yeah.
It's
and
so
then
nice to see you.
I can't wait to hear myself on radio and be like, what do you sound like that?
I try never to listen. But thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, girls.
It's very cool that you're doing this.
Thank you.
So proud of you, Melike.
Yeah.
I'm sharing a heart in the camp.
And I would like to do this again if you need it.
Terima kasih warga budaya for listening and for being curious. I hope you've enjoyed today's program on the Roskilde Festival and Danish culture. I am aware that today's episode have brought topics on beer and on drinking, and I apologize if that has offended anyone. That's obviously never the purpose. I have deliberately chosen to leave these parts in because it does reflect and it does say something about the Danish culture, for better or for worse. And I believe that if I would have taken it out, it would have given a somewhat false or somewhat filtered version of Roskilde Festival and of Danish culture. So I hope you can view it in that way and respect it in that way. And again, I do apologize if it has offended anyone. Never the purpose. For the rest, I wish you a great night, Warga Budaya. Dan sampai jumpa di Siaran berikutnya. Take care. Bye-bye.
Dari Komplek Balai Budaya Minomartani Ngaglik Sleman, inilah Radio BBM, jaringan radio komunitas Yogyakarta.
Dipancarkan dari kawasan Balai Budaya Minomartani, Radio Komunitas